Really parched lands here, not the slightest bit of greenery around, and not a single sign of an animal for as long as we've been out here.
And where are we today anyway? Well, we're in the Lut Desert, considered to be the hottest place in the world. And how do we get here? Well, let's take a step back for that one.
Hey guys, this is Chris Kermis, and today, having arrived in Kerman from Yazd, we're going to head into the Lut Desert and explore a little further. We're going to see some sights along the way, including the Shazdeh Historical Gardens, the tiny city of Shahdad on the edge of the desert, and we're going to take a 4x4 into the desert itself. Come with me, and let's explore this incredible side of Iran.
Where we're heading today could be really tough. The Lut Desert has had temperatures recorded of over 70 degrees centigrade. I'm a little nervous about what lies ahead, but let's get started with this adventure.
And it's bright and early for our first stop off the day. We're going to head off to the Shazdeh Gardens. This is supposedly best visited in the morning. So this is another historical Persian-style garden, again in the UNESCO World Heritage List. And this is located just a little way out of the town. So best we go there now. We just stopped off on the way just to buy some watermelon for the desert, but let's get on the way and let's start to see the sights. And here we are, the Shazdeh Gardens. So this particular garden's from the 19th century. The king was in Tehran at the time and instructed the rulers of the provinces to build these beautiful Persian gardens. And the striking thing about this is it really is in the middle of the desert, but it manages to get a water source from the mountains, bringing the spring water down to here. And as usual for these classical Persian gardens, they're modelled off the idea of paradise in the Quran, where the building looks down over this running water source in the centre, the trees at the side. Beautiful. Those gardens were beautiful yet again, absolutely fantastic. Now we're heading off to something slightly different. We're going to Shah Namutala Valley. So this is basically the tomb of a very revered dervish in Iranian society. And this is the Shah Namutala tomb. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful building and these lovely grounds that it's in. Now we're heading towards the desert, we're heading towards the city of Shahdad. Although we're actually going to stop about 10 kilometers from there, we're going to have lunch in a traditional house, and then we're going to venture into the desert itself.
I'm not sure what to expect when we get to the desert, but this is the last easy part of the day. Thankfully, I'm not here at the height of the summer with the most extreme of temperatures, but it's still going to be some brutal land.
Very much in the start of the desert now, and we stopped off at this little village where we've come to this restaurant where we're going to have lunch. We're going to venture further into the desert from here to get in the 4x4, but let's get some food in this lovely place first. The temperature's certainly getting a lot hotter. It feels pretty much like high 30s now. I'm not sure exactly what it is. So I've had a nice spot for lunch here. Just been given some mint juice to start with. Sounds super refreshing. I can smell it from here. Oh wow, okay. Mint and sugar, of course. Can't forget the masses of sugar. So I've got some of the lunch turned up here. We've actually got a local delicacy of this fermented garlic. So this garlic's been fermented for about 2 years here. Looks kind of interesting, and I think I'm going to stink after this, but hey. Okay, so here we go. Here's the fermented garlic. I've got to say I have my reservations. I'm being laughed at a little bit here as well. Right, so here we go. Oh, wow, okay. That's a formidable taste. It's pleasant though, it's actually pretty decent. Really sweet. Sweet and sour. So this is the main dish right here. This is boz khome. And this is basically whey, along with some chickpea, some lamb meat. Let's give it a try. Okay, that's really, really thick and hearty. You got this sourness from the yogurt, but then this real sort of, well, potatoiness, sort of potato heartiness there. The lamb within it. And then mint, absolute mint onslaught when you get the top bit. And these little crispy bits. I'm not sure what these little crispy bits are. Again, really, really different from everything else I've tried here. The food is so unique, but just delicious in its own way. Lovely. So I'm really lucky to try this one, I think. This is really a traditional dish from the Lut Desert area. And it's just, thanks to the organisation of my friend and guide Razor here that we've been able to try this. Prepared in advance that this dish would be made. Absolutely lovely. And after a good lunch, it's time to hit the road, get our 4x4 and head into the desert.
And this is it, we're going off-road. We've let some pressure off the tyres and we're heading into the desert.
So we're heading off towards these, I guess, sandstone kind of hills in the distance. So these are called kaluts, and they're basically formed over thousands of years from weathering effects into these shapes. So this one is called a Taj Kalut because there's just one of them, basically sitting on its own, lonely in the desert. So I think we're basically within Kalut land now. We're down within the Kaluts. They're up there, they're all around us.
Thankfully our driver has quite some skills, putting the vehicle around corners at 45 degrees and going up and down inclines I wouldn't have thought was possible. How is this even possible? I didn't expect a roller coaster.
Crazy!
And this is known as the roof of the Kalut. We're at the highest point, the highest Kalut of all. It's amazing that a vehicle can even make it up here. The environment here is brutal and unforgiving, with barely a sign of life in daylight hours at least. But at the same time it's majestic and beautiful in its harshness, offering a view on the world that's alien to us in our normal lives.
So supposedly this tree up here is about 200 to 250 years old. There's not like another living thing in miles and miles that I've seen. And yet there's this tree on a hill here. Wow. Now we head to this hill behind, which is the hill that used to be a volcano. Behind, down below, in the little valley, you see what's known as the Salty River. Certainly no actual river left down there now. You just see basically the trail of salt where a river used to be. Really parched lands here, not the slightest bit of greenery around, and not a single sign of an animal for as long as we've been out here.
Around here you see these black rocks everywhere, flung around the landscape from what used to be the volcano nearby. As the sun set over the desert, we stopped here to enjoy the watermelons we bought earlier and see the disappearance of the day's lights. My camera had overheated, losing audio as well as other problems several times during the afternoon, but we got through the heat of the day. Temperatures peaked somewhere around a relatively mild mid-40s centigrade while we were there. But now all that's left to do is start the long drive back through the dark, out of the desert and back to Kerman, putting all of our trust in our driver's skills to get us out of there.
Okay guys, that's it. That was a long, hard day, but certainly rewarding. It took about 2 hours in the end just to get out of the desert alone to make it to a normal road. After the sun went down, the light slowly disappeared and it basically turned to pitch black with this amazing starscape up above. But of course, rough getting through the desert in that sort of environment. You could see just lights way off in the distance as we got an hour away, and it just seemed like we never ever got there, but eventually of course we did. So a long trip back to the hotel, got back eventually, had some dinner, called it a night. So tomorrow we'll be off to Bandar Abbas and the Persian Gulf, south to the islands of Kesh and Hormuz, and that'll be really the most southerly point of the trip. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please don't be shy with that like button. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. And do subscribe if you haven't already, there's plenty more videos coming from Iran. See you next time, guys.